Hi everyone, it's Susan Jones and welcome back to my Sunday Spotlight. This week I have a few fun math related things that I want to share with you, and my game or tip or activity for the week is actually going to be a number ID game that you can do either virtually or traditionally if you are starting the year in person. But with everything being up in the air, I wanted to make sure I had a digital kind of version of this game available to you as well. Okay, before I dive into that digital game that I want to share with you, I want to tell you about something new and exciting that is actually open right now. As you watch this video, the SJT Math Club just went live to the public for you to join me this year. And in the SJT Math Club, what it is it's essentially a membership where you can pay either monthly or yearly, and every single month you are going to receive some math games or activities that, just like my Sunday Spotlights, that you can take and use in the classroom right away. Here is a little bit about what the site is going to look like. And so the goal throughout the year is to kind of build your teacher toolkit so that way you have one place to come to find the game or the activity that you need to meet your students at any point in time. You know that, year after year, some of the games that you've used in the past might not work with these students, or maybe they need a different activity or a different kind of way to view things. So I wanted to go ahead and, like I said, build that teacher toolkit for you. I know there are so many games and activities all over the internet, and it's hard to kind of search for them and find them. And sometimes I know when I was teaching, I had found a game that I used like years ago, just in my file cabinet. And I was like, oh my gosh, this game is perfect. Let me use it here. And I'd just forgotten about it for a few years. So the goal of the Math Club, like I said, is to kind of be a one-stop shop or a little hub for you to find all of these math games. Like I said, within the Math Club, every single month, you're going to get some new games and activities. Now, you will get a minimum of 3 different games that are differentiated for kindergarten, first, and second grade. So it's kind of like you're getting 9 games. What I mean by that is every month you will see in your Math Club, let's say it's number sense, for example. I have 3 different types of ways that I'm sharing these games. I want to make sure as teachers you have access to hands-on activities so students can really feel those numbers and really get a grasp of the math concept before going on to the next type of game, which would be like a print and play type, either partner game or individual game, where it's very little prep, you just print and play. You might be familiar with many of my print and play games, but they are mostly just to reinforce the skill, right? It's after it's been taught. So that hands-on activity is something you would likely do after you teach a concept whole group, and it's kind of their first or second time really understanding that skill. Then they would go on to a print and play type of activity, which are great for, partner work or independent centers. And that one, like I said, is just great to reinforce those different skills, get them playing together if it's a partner game, and learning all types of new things. Lastly, I want to make sure that every single month I provide some sort of digital activity that can be used either on a tablet or on a computer. So the 2 kind of mediums that I am used to working digitally is Seesaw and Google Classroom. So I will be making the same exact activity, and it will be available in both Google Classroom that you could use with Google Slides, and it will be available in Seesaw. So it'll be the same activity, just 2 different ways to access it, but they will all be there in the club for you. Just a couple examples for what you will get if you actually purchase the club today, and you will actually see right away, you will see some number sense activities. The hands-on one I have is called Mix, Order, and Make, and with this activity, there are 3 different kind of layers and difficulty for your kindergarten, first, and second grade students, so that way it meets all of them. The first one is actually numbers 1 through 20, and it's just little tiles, and students will have to mix up those numbers. They'll have to put them in order. So the skill here is ordering numbers from least to greatest. And then they will have to make that number using blocks or base 10 cubes, whatever you would like them to use. And then the second one is the same exact activity, except it is numbers 0 through 120, which is great for your first grade students. And then the second grade version is numbers 1 through 1000. So in that one, they're really going to go ahead and use those hundreds blocks. They're going to use base 10 cubes, and they're going to not only identify the numbers, put them in order, but then they also have to show them somehow. The print and play game that's already in there is called Roll, Write, and Reorder. And this, again, my print and play games are super low prep. They're usually just all black and white, and you can either laminate them or put them in one of those little laminated sleeves, so that way students can use them over and over and over. And for this one, again, they are ordering numbers. It'll use different variations of dice. They'll roll it, they'll write it, and they'll reorder it. Which brings me to the digital games, and there's already 3 in the club right now, and one of them is the one that I want to share with you today. So let's dive right into the free number sense game that you are going to get to use in your classroom, or you can send home to your students right now over the summer. However you want to do it, it's up to you, but let's dive in. All right, this game is a number identification game that you can actually use a few different ways, which I will share today. And many of you might recognize it because it was the very first Sunday Spotlight I ever did. Here's a little thumbnail of what I looked like during that. I was super nervous. My videos are probably a little different now, but the activity is amazing nonetheless. It is called Find the Fish. Now, I won't necessarily go all into detail about how to play it because you can just go ahead and watch that video after this one. I'll link it down below and I'll put a card up here. And all you'll need for that is a pocket chart like so. And this is a little desktop one I got from Amazon. I will link it below because if you happen to do this distance learning wise, you know, this pocket chart, it's literally tabletop size. It's great to have in front of a camera. It's not too big and it's super light. So I will share that. I think it was like $12, $13. So I'll share that there. Essentially, to play the game, all you will need are some number cards, and in the video I shared, they were numbers 1 through 20 because I had done this activity with kindergarten and very beginning of the year first grade students. And you will put the numbers 1 through 20 hidden here in the chart, and you will just find a little fish. You can draw it or you can print out a picture of a fish, and you will hide it behind one of the numbers without the students being able to see. So like I said, you can do this virtually here if you want to do it in person and you have live Zoom classes, because you do need them to interact. And so all students will have to do is basic number identification. They will have to say one of the numbers, and you as the teacher will lift it up and see if the class found the fish. And you will keep doing that until somebody in your class finds it. Now, that type of game, like I said, if you are meeting with your students live in any sort of whole group or small group fashion, that would totally work. And if traditionally you get to go back in the students with your classroom, please, that would also work as well. But just in case you don't have that option, and just in case you have to send activities to your students through the computer, like I know many of you had to this past spring, I wanted to take that same concept and idea and just turn it into a Seesaw or Google Classroom activity. So this is what it looks like right here. And what it looks like, it's one big screen, and you'll see here, here's the clue. So I have, again, 3 different versions of this, and it's already in the math club. If you are already a member, please go head over and you can find it. But if not, I have the 1 through 10 version and the 11 through 20 version totally free in the description for you to try out. Students will open it up and they will have to look at the clue, and then they have to, once they determine what number is inside the clue, they're going to go ahead and they can actually move the tiles here to see if they found the fish. In the directions, I explained that on the first try, if they didn't find the fish, then they should try again. And then once they find the fish, they can go on to the next slide. This activity is a great way for students to try to identify numbers in different ways, right? We have some tally marks here. They have some shapes that they can do one-to-one correspondence and actually count out. They have tens frames and other different ways for students to recognize these critical numbers at the beginning of the year. So if you're already thinking about next year and what types of games and activities you might want to use with your class, whether it is in person or digitally, I hope you will save this one and add it to your teacher toolkit for the beginning of the year. Now, if you want to join us over in the math club this year, please just go ahead and click the link down below. It will tell you all about how to join and the pricing options. I do have 2 quick questions I want to answer that I get a lot about the math club. And the first is, are these games and activities the same as the ones in your TPT store? And the answer is no, these are going to be all brand new games and activities for you to use. The second question I often get is, can my admin or can my principal pay for this? And the answer is absolutely yes. I have a writing club where I think actually most of the members, their admin pays for them to be a member. So after it is purchased, I can go ahead and send you the invoice or the receipt so that way they have it for their files if you happen to be using a school or admin card. Like I said earlier, the Find the Fish digital activity is completely free. That is down there below if you want to check it out and try it in your classroom. And one last note about the math club is we are actually going to close a membership on this Friday, which is June 26th. So June 26th at 11:59 p.m., we will close the doors to the membership. So that way, what I like to do with my math club and my writing club is I really like to try to meet the needs of the teachers that are already in there. So that way I can get their feedback about what types of games they're looking for. And I find that when I have too many members or too many teachers in the club, I can't really reach everybody's needs. So I like to try to make the games and activities that you really need the most. So if you happen to join, that's awesome. If not, go ahead and try the free activities, and I hope you love them. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you do, so I know, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new week's video. I'll see you next week. Bye.